Good morning, everyone. Good Friday morning. I have a great gift idea for you today, and I know this is not a new idea, but it's new to me. And it's these really sweet cookie mix jars. These are pint size cookie jars, and they're just the perfect size to give as a gift. They make a dozen cookies. So this is actually a great thing to give because at Christmas time we have like a lot of sweet stuff. And if you were to bake these cookies, people would have to eat them right away. Well, these jars can be saved for a few months before using them, and then you can make them in the dead of winter when you might not have as many things around. So, this is nice because it kind of keeps everything nice and tidy and clean before you're ready to use them. And what I really, really love about these is look, they have these little jar tags on them. So they are like really, really sweet. And so you'll need a jar punch and you'll need the Lots to Celebrate stamp set if you want to make them like this. Oh, and on the back, let me just grab a tag that's not stuck to something. I made little instructions. I made them to fit the jar punch. I condensed them down. I took all those and well, not really unnecessary words. For some people who don't make cookies regularly, they might actually heed the advice or need the advice, but sometimes we just need to know what we need to add, that we need to mix. So this just condensed down into little tiny, tiny recipe so that everyone knows how to finish them. So on the back of the tag, you can see right here, here's my little recipe. And then on the front, it's really cute and stamped. So it's just nice and themed all together. And I also have done one as like a birthday one. The stamp set I'll show you in a moment has a bunch of different holidays on it. So you don't just need to make cookie mixes for Christmas, you can make them for other holidays as well. So that's kind of fun. So I just want to say, um, if you love my channel, please subscribe. You'll see my little face floating down at the bottom. If you click on that, you can subscribe. And if you select the bell, you can select your notification type by clicking on the bell. All right, well, I see I have a few of you on here. So I'll tell you also that on Saturday, I have a project sheet that will come in the mail if you are an email list subscriber. If you're not already on my email list, then you can get on it by looking down in the description of the video and clicking on the link to subscribe. And this will be coming out to you tomorrow, and it has the basic recipe on it. I also want to give credit to the blog where I got the recipe. Her blog name is Damn Delicious, and you can also go to her blog, and I have the link. Yes, I do have the link up on my blog, and I have the link on my project sheet as well, so that you can go there if you want to have the full recipe, as well as if you go to her main page. She has more pictures and everything like that. I did not do that part because she did such an excellent job with the recipe itself. I am a person, when I create a recipe, I often change ingredients. And in this case, the only thing I did differently was I typically don't put any salt in my baked goods unless I'm making bread and it needs the salt. But otherwise, I followed it to a T. And the reason you will also want to follow it to a T is because you want to make sure you fill your jar. If your jar is completely filled, then the ingredients won't shift around because like I can move this and the ingredients are going to kind of stay there because the sugar goes right up at the top and it's right at the top of the jar. So the nice thing is you want to actually measure these out carefully. I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to show you how I filled my jar because I think that's kind of important if you've never done that before. It was my first time yesterday, and I'll show you how I got these ingredients into the jar in just a second. What else can I tell you? Oh, yes. Here is my PDF that I created with all the little instructions. So there's 16 little instructions on here. You can print this out. I just did this one on 8.5 by 11 computer paper, but for my tags, I actually printed them out on Whisper White cardstock. And what you do is you cut along that little line right there, and then you'll stamp the jar punch over top. I'll show you that in a moment. So it's actually really cool because it will fit right on there and it will look beautiful. All right, good morning to everyone who's joined me. Listen, I will talk to everyone at the end because I am not one of those people that does a very good job of reading comments and doing what I need to do. So I will join you for a chit chat at the end. And I'm going to pop over to my other camera and I'm going to show you how I put all of these together. You'll also want to make sure you watch because I create the tag in two different ways. I create a folded tag and a regular tag, and there's a little trick to create the folded tag that I want to share with you. So make sure you watch that if you want to see how I do my little jar tags. All right, let's get over to my work surface. All right, let's put some of this stuff away so it's not in the way. Let's talk about, this is the Lots to Celebrate stamp set, and I have a feeling that this one will, I'm going to move my camera over just a little bit. I have a feeling that this one is not going to carry over, so we'll have maybe a few more weeks left of the stamp set and then it won't be available, but you'll want this one so you can get this little jar stamp, and then it's going to match with the jar punch, and this is in the annual catalog, so this one will be around for a while longer, but it's so nice to have them together. And then with all these greetings, like season's greetings, you can do happy and then birthday, thinking of you, sending hugs, lots of nice greetings to put in that center part and little images to put in the jar for the front of the tag. It's a really great stamp set. So, and then pick up the jar punch too so you can create those tags. Okay, let me scoot these aside for a second and we are going to get to making. Hey, and this is great because you don't actually have to bake anything. So I'm going to bring in my ingredients. I just got all of these ready. So the first thing you want to do is I ran my mason jars through the dishwasher to make sure they're nice and clean. And then I've got my lid right here. I've got a piece of, let me get this aside, computer paper and just a clean sheet. And I'm going to roll this. Actually, how did I do this? I think just going to roll it like this. And I'm going to stick it inside my mason jar to kind of create a funnel. The reason you want to do this is when the flour drops into the bottom of here, it kind of poofs up and it can cloud the sides of the jar if there's any static, electricity, and then it's really hard to clean. So if you funnel the flour down to the bottom, it makes a nice clean jar. So just show you right here, I've got my flour, and so for the flour, you'll need 3/4 of a cup of flour, half a teaspoon baking powder, and half a teaspoon of baking soda. Also, for the recipe that I omitted was 1/8 of a teaspoon salt. I didn't put any salt in there, but you can if you want to. And you could funnel them down separately, but I put them in a little bowl first. And then I'm going to mix them. I also split up my flour a little bit. I did half a cup of white and 1/4 cup of whole wheat, just because that's the way I bake. But in total, you need 3/4 of a cup of flour. And then you're just going to mix those together. I just kind of like to have that mixed at the start. It's going to get mixed when they make the recipe anyway, but I kind of want my flour to be uniform. So then I've got my funnel here. I'm going to just spoon this in. I could also funnel it in, but I don't want to take the chance of getting messy here. So I'm just going to, making a lot of racket here. Funnel this in to the bottom. See if I can get the rest of this in. Got a little on my work surface, but that's not enough to make a difference. That's going in the garbage. Okay, so now I'm going to funnel this into the bottom. Put that aside. Okay, so give that a little shake so it settles a bit. Now, this is a really key thing. You want to make sure you pack down that flour. And I'm going to use, I have a little ice cream scoop. Find something in your kitchen that you can kind of use to tamp down the bottom. This is probably not the best tool that I could find. Maybe you have something better, but it's the thing that I had that I could kind of tamp down with. So I'm just using that. And this is probably the most important layer to get pushed down at the bottom, because the flour actually can pack up quite nicely, and you want to take a little time to make sure that that is pressed down as far as it will go. I think I'm almost getting to the point where it's pressed down. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. Will make my video a little longer than someone that isn't a perfectionist. But you just find something that will allow you to tamp down everything. Okay, I think that's good enough. All right, so I've got my flour layer, and now I'm going to add oats. I've got half a cup here. I'm going to use my funnel again. Not that it's going to really blow up, but it's just going to help me get the ingredients into my thing. Okay, put that away. And then this layer, I just kind of make sure that it is tamped down a little bit. The oats aren't going to come down too much more. This layer I kind of just call, you kind of just need to smooth it down and kind of just press it just a little bit so that it's kind of in place. Okay, and then we're going to use 1/3 cup of M&Ms, and I got the holiday M&Ms. Let's see. I'm going to use my funnel again. I just fear like I'm going to create a disaster if I don't use the funnel. Okay, and this one again, just smooth them out so that they are kind of flat. And then I'm going to add, make sure I've got everything. I've got my flour, I've got my old-fashioned oats, my M&Ms, and now I'm going to plunk a 1/4 cup of brown sugar in here. This is packed brown sugar. And this one I'm just going to kind of press. I'm not going to pack it too hard on top of my M&Ms. I'm just going to kind of create kind of a bit of a barrier, because I really want that last 1/2 cup of sugar, I'm going to put white sugar on top of here, to kind of fill right up to the very top. Because if this is filled right to the top, there's less chance of the ingredients mixing about, and if they mix about, they're not going to look as pretty, right? So I've got my 1/2 cup sugar here, and I've got my sugar container here also, because this might get a little messy. So I'm going to open up my sugar container. Okay, so I'm going to pour this on top. This is 1/2 cup of white sugar. Okay. Oh, good. It's just about to the top. You know what? I'm going to fill this up with just a bit more sugar. And then I'm going to take my knife, kind of like you would do with a measuring cup, and I'm going to do this. So now it is kind of flat with the top. Put that down over there. I've got a wee bit of sugar on my surface here. Okay, let me move that out to the side. All right, we have filled our jar. All right. So next thing you want to do is grab your lid and just add it right to the top. And just set it aside for just a second. I'm going to scoop some of this sugar off my work surface because it's going to drive me crazy. All right, so I've got this jar all filled, and now we want to add a little paper to the top of this lid. So I've got my Big Shot here, and I'm going to use my layering circles dies. I'm going to use the second largest die, and I've got a little piece of the Heartwarming Hugs Designer Series paper. And let me just run that through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine out this way. And I've got my base platform, which is a number 1, my adapter, which is number 2. I've got a plate, I've got my paper, my die, and then I'm going to add this second plate on top, and I'm just going to run this through the machine. I love being able to cut circles. Circles is one of those shapes that's very hard to hand cut well. So then I'm just going to add that right to the top of my piece. Let's get that out of the way. This is very simple decoration, right? Just a layer of designer series paper, let that do the work. There's a different side too. You can choose whatever side you want. And the Heartwarming Hugs paper, let me grab it real quick. It matches really well with the red and green holiday M&Ms. Really a nice paper to choose for that. These are some of my scraps, some of the patterns you can see. So all of the patterns would work really nicely with the top of this. Okay, then I'm just going to take my lid, like my screwed piece, I don't know what you call this, my the ring, and then I'll just screw that on top. So now it's starting to look really nice, right? Instead of using fabric on top, use a little designer series paper. It makes it look nice. Then I'm going to take some real red ribbon, and I'm going to take some locking tweezers that I have, and I'm just going to tie a knot. And here's the real trick, since this is kind of slippery. This is around the neck, right underneath the rim here. Okay, just take that locking tweezer and clamp down onto that knot. Now you can tie a bow in peace and not have to worry about that knot loosening. So I'm just going to tie and play with my bow. Back and forth, back and forth. Okay, I think I like that. So I'll snip off the ends. I'll unclamp. Isn't that cute? So cute. And this is the Real Red sheer ribbon that's in the holiday catalog. And I think this ribbon would look really nice for Valentine's Day too. I think everyone needs a good red ribbon to have, and this one is nice because it's sheer, so it can fit a lot of different shades of red. It doesn't really have to be specifically real red. All right, now let's get to the tags. So you're going to print off a sheet of these tags. This will come in your inbox tomorrow too. There's going to be the PDF, and then there's going to be the project sheet, and then there's going to be this PDF as well. So you'll print this off. Make sure when you print off a PDF, print it off at actual size, because if you don't print it off at actual size, it's going to maybe shrink it, and then these will be a lot smaller. I had to try and find a font that was skinny enough so I could squeeze all the instructions on and make it look good. That took me a little while. So, and then once you've got it printed off, I like to print it off on the regular Whisper White, not the thick one. But you could also print it off on computer paper as well, if you like. Then cut it along the lines. That's why those lines are there, because that way when you stamp your image over top, you'll know where everything kind of needs to go, and it will fit into the punch really well. So I cut mine into strips so you can kind of see my cut line down below, and I've already punched some. And let's clean off the stamp. We're going to use Pear Pizzazz ink, and this is the jar stamp mounted on a D block. Just going to ink this up, and it's neat because you can see right through here. You can see right where you're stamping, and I'm going to hover that over top and make sure it looks somewhat straight, and then stamp it right over top. Isn't that brilliant? Look at that. It works so well. Yes. So then you'll take your jar punch and you'll punch it out. Make sure it's centered. And now you have like this really, really, really cute recipe for the back. Just so perfect. That just made me so happy when I finally got all the measurements right yesterday. Okay, so we've got that, and now I've got two different ways that we can make the front tag. If you want just a plain front tag, I'm going to take another piece of Whisper White, and I'm going to take my Pear Pizzazz again, stamp another one of these, and then I'm going to take some Real Red ink and stamp Season's Greetings right in the center. I'm going to also take this lid stamp, make sure it's okay, and then I'm going to line up. There's kind of a space in this one. I'm going to stand up, kind of line it up right about there. Okay, and then I'm going to add some snowflakes to the jar because that just makes it look kind of pretty on the tag. So I'll take my Pool Party ink, and there's the snowflake stamp. I'm just going to ink it up and stamp it right over top of the Season's Greetings. Because it is such a light color, it doesn't really interfere with the greeting. Okay, so that's a pretty simple way to make the tag, and then we'll just grab the jar punch and just line it up in there and punch. And so for this one, if you were going to make this one, you just glue these front to back, and so one side is the recipe, how to finish it off, and the other one is the front. This is if you don't want to write a message, okay? You just want to give something and you don't want to write anything. This is just perfect for that. But say you want to write something. Let's make a little folded jar tag. So for that, I've got a piece of cardstock here, another piece of regular Whisper White. You want to use the regular Whisper White because this is going to be folded over and put through here, so there's going to be two layers, so it's better if you have thinner cardstock. This measures 5 inches by 3¼ inches. And I'm going to score it in half. Just take your scoring tool or your trimmer and grab your stylus. So the 5-inch side is up at the top, and you're going to score it at the 2½ inch mark. Okay? Excellent. So then you could punch and then stamp, but I find it easier if I stamp first. So I'm going to grab my jar, and I've got, just so you can see, because it's really hard for you probably to see on here. Let me twist this just a bit. Will it catch the light? No. Okay, there you go. You can kind of see the score line is running across the center right there. Okay, so the score line is right here, running across the center. And I cut this to 3¼ inches because if you cut it to 3¼ inches, you can get 2 tags out of here. And the reason I don't cut it any skinnier is because otherwise I have nothing to hold on to when I run this through the punch. And so it's better to do kind of a thing side by side where you can get 2 on there. So I'm just going to ink this up in the Pear Pizzazz. And I want to stamp so that my top of my jar is just below that score line. Let me see if I did a good job. Well, it's right on the score line. Well, we'll see. I'm going to do another one too. Let me see if I can get this one just a little bit below and see which one is better. Okay. You might need to experiment a little bit. So I've got both of those on there. You can kind of see this is where the score line is. Okay. And my top of my jar is just below that, or should be. So I'm going to fold this along the score line. I think this one's going to be better. Fold along here. And then you're going to slide this in here. Okay, before you punch though, I need to make sure that the fold up top here is just below that cut line. So I need to kind of align this. See this one, I think it's going to be just a little bit. I'm losing too much of the tag. You can probably see there's a bit of a gap there. Maybe move it up just a little bit more. Won't be centered. And then I'm going to punch. Let's do this one as well. We still have this little piece to hang on to. That's why I made it so we could do it 2 at a time. And you just need to make sure that it's just right underneath that cut line so that it doesn't get punched through. See, so now it's a little folded tag. All right. So I like this one better. Well, I guess either one is fine, but I'm going to use this one. But if you can get it just a little bit below the score line when you stamp it, I think you'll be happier with it. Then we're going to take this Pear Pizzazz again, ink it up, and stamp it right down there. And then we'll take the Season's Greetings again. We're just going to repeat what we did on the other tag. Season's Greetings, center it. And then the snowflakes. And stamp that over top. All right, and then you want to take this little recipe and add it to the back. So just put some Tombow. That way you have lots of room to write on the inside if you adhere this to the back. And you're using all of those surfaces really well. Just make sure it's aligned. Isn't that cute? This place to write and the back. And then you're going to take a 1/8 inch circle punch. So you can find a handheld 1/8 inch circle punch, or you can use a crocodile if you have one. And we don't have one at Stampin' Up right now. We've had one in the past, but we don't have one in our supplies right now. But they're a 1/8 inch circle punch is fairly easy to find. So I'm just going to punch this right on the lid. Let me show you. There's a little hole right in the top right corner. Okay. So I didn't tie this right on here, and I didn't do that for a reason, because I hate, I shouldn't use such strong language, but I don't like tying a bow when I've got my tag already dangling on there. It's really, really hard for me. So what I always do is I punch my little hole, and then I make a little cut from the top into that hole. So there's a little cut right from the edge right to the hole. And that's going to allow a little space for me to feed my ribbon through. And I'm just going to pull this up by the knot, and I'm going to feed this through. And that little hole is around the ribbon, and then the top kind of closes up again. Now, if you pulled on this hard, it would come off, but if no one's pulling on this, it's going to stay right there, and it's just going to be right there, the little tag. Make sure you write on the tag before you add it, because it's not easy to write once it's on there, but it should just, and you can pull this off again. That's the nice thing. If you forget to do it, you can pull it off and write on it and then put it back on. And so because of the way it is added on here, it's going to keep those two pieces closed until the person takes the tag off. It's going to kind of keep it cinched shut. So that's another nice thing. It's kind of just sitting there. So isn't that cute? And then you have also, you can do the birthday one. And for this birthday one, I used, let me grab it real quick. I used the 2022 In Color Designer Series paper. And I just picked one of the patterns. I like this one. That had a real birthday feel to it. And I did the same thing. I cut a little label. I used the denim ribbon. I love this ribbon. It looks really, I don't know, it would be good. This would be good for like both a masculine and a feminine birthday. It's just really nice. It's not, you would think that denim ribbon would be really stiff, but it's denim look ribbon. It's not really denim fabric ribbon. So it actually ties pretty easily. And then I just did the same thing with the tag, except I used Misty Moonlight on the jar part for the greeting. I actually, I kept these on two separate stamps because Happy and Birthday are separate stamps in that collection. So I stamped the birthday first and then the Happy over top. I also split up my hearts. Let me show you how I did that, because it is maybe just a little bit complicated. Not super complicated, but it's just a little bit different. Where did I put my jar? Okay, let me clean this off real quick. I'll show you. Here's my Misty Moonlight. So when you're stamping this, if you don't want it as dark as the rest, you can do this. Ink it up and stamp it off once, and then stamp your jar. All right, and then clean this off the lid, and then ink up the lid, and stamp it on the top. And then what I did for the hearts is I cut the top and the bottom of the hearts apart because I didn't like their placement. so I cut them up, and then this is what I did. I decided I was going to have this heart right here, those two hearts. So I just kind of lined them up on here, and I lined this one up down here at the bottom corner, okay? Because I cut the heart stamp right in half in the center. And then I took my block and I did this. Okay, so now it's aligned how I need to have it. And then I'm going to come in with my real red and just ink it up. One of the hearts is not going to be on here. There's 2 up top and 3 on the bottom. Let me show you. Okay, so that little heart will not be on my tag. It will be punched off. But it doesn't matter if it gets stamped because it's just going to be cut off. And then I'll come in with my happy birthday. I'm going to stamp my birthday first. And I'll try and put it just above those hearts right there. Okay. And then I'll come in with the happy and stamp it right above there. Okay. And then when you punch it, it will look better because that heart won't be dangling off the edge. Make sure it's aligned. I'm very nitpicky about alignment. And then punch it. Okay, and that little heart comes off the edge. And then you have your little tag for your birthday one. And this is nice because you can customize it with whatever colors you want. You don't have to use hearts. I did one with stars here. So you can do a star one, or there's these little flowers, or if you want to do a fall themed one, there's leaves. So there's a lot of great little images in this stamp set, and especially it looks really nice if you have that jar edge for the back of the tag. See, it just looks, it makes it finished. It makes it look finished. All right, I've got stuff spread everywhere, but look at, aren't these so cute? I just love them. And you know, you can make up a bunch of these, and these can be your Christmas gifts for this year. So I think it's, I don't know, depends how much you want to spend, but you know, if you buy a bag of flour, a few bags of M&Ms, and if you have the ingredients in your house, this can be a gift that I'm not sure how much exactly it would cost because you'd have to break down the cost for the mason jars and stuff as well, but certainly a reasonably priced gift that I think will look impressive if you drop it off on someone's doorstep. Okay, let me come back to you. What did you think of that? I hope you enjoyed my little jar gifts. And thank you so much to the Damn Delicious blog for the excellent recipe. And you'll get the recipe in my project sheet as well. But I don't go into all the nuances. On the blog, on her blog, she has a little bit more of a description about how to bring things together. Oh, I forgot to show you. How do the cookies look when they're baked? I baked a cookie yesterday. Actually, I baked a jar yesterday. It makes 1 dozen, so I baked 1 dozen cookies yesterday, and that's what they look like when they're done. They are a little bit chewy, and they taste really good. So I tested them out for you. See, I sacrifice myself. I had to make cookies yesterday just so I wanted to make sure it was a good recipe. And it is. It's perfect. I love oatmeal cookies. You don't really taste the oats if you think, ooh, yuck, oats. They're really good. If you don't want to use M&Ms, chocolate chips would work. White chocolate chips, dark chocolate chips. I think dark chocolate chips would look better because then would be a little bit more of a contrast on there. But white chocolate chips, even raisins would work. So you have options for what you put in this layer. It's a basic oatmeal cookie layer. And the recipe was really easy. You just add, let me grab my little instructions. You need to add a quarter cup of melted butter, one beaten egg, and half a teaspoon of vanilla. Then you mix everything together and make it into 12 little balls, and then you bake it at 375 for 12 to 14 minutes. I used 12 minutes and it was perfect at 12 minutes. So there is that. All right, guys, I am going to say hello to all of you. And good morning, Bling Bling Crafter. Good morning, Janine and Amy. And Bling Bling Crafter said, and hit the thumbs up, please. It really helps her channel and shows appreciation. Thank you. That's really sweet. From Pat in Arkansas. Okay, I don't always remember everyone's YouTube name and their real name. So thank you, Pat, for putting your real name on there. And hello, Bear Blue from Tennessee. She says she's very wet and raining here this morning. Well, the rain is coming here and it's going to turn into snow. They say we're getting a nor'easter. So tomorrow we're going to have a snowy day. I'm going to be out there probably shoveling snow. But it will be good exercise, right? At this time of year before Christmas, I don't mind it quite as much. It's December. We're allowed to have snow now. And it's before Christmas. So yeah, that's totally allowed. Good morning, Christy from Wisconsin. And good morning, Amy and Dawn. Well, I don't see any questions, so let me know if you have questions before I sign off. If you need supplies, you'll need this jar punch. I think you need the jar punch. Absolutely need that jar punch. You can get that if you pop on over to my blog. Just click on the blog link, and then down at the bottom of my blog, I have links to all of these things. I've got the jar punch. If you're going to get the jar punch, also pick up the Lots to Celebrate stamp set, because you know what's going to happen? Because I did this blog post late in the year. Next year, people are going to ask me where I can get the Lots to Celebrate stamp set, and it won't be available anymore. So pick this one up. It may carry over, but I am not 100% sure that it will. So we'll find out next week if it carries over. But if it doesn't carry over, this one is one that people are going to want next year, and they won't be able to get it. So pick it up. Stampin' Up! Usually lets us buy stamp sets almost to the end of December, but I don't know if that will be the case this year. But pick this one up to go with your jar punch so that you can make these really cute tags. They're just so cute. Just really, really sweet. And I like how you can punch right around that little recipe, and then you can, make the little tags. And I will make sure that both PDFs are there, the project sheet and the how to make it recipe on there as well. So, and if you purchase from me, I always have tutorials that they're paid tutorials, but I give them away free with a purchase. All you need to do is spend $15. That's not too much. Spend that in the store. If you buy the jar punch, I believe this is over 15. I think it's $18. So then you'll have it covered, and then you can get another one of my free tutorials. I've got so many cute tutorials on my blog. 3D ones with Hershey's Kisses, lots to choose from. All right, well, I hope you guys have a great week, and I will be back live on Facebook this time on Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. So I hope you will catch me then. Have a great weekend, guys, and take care. Bye-bye.